Hi everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. Before we get started, make sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content. I absolutely love putting out these videos for you, and if there's something specific that you want to see, let me know in those comments and I'll make a tutorial to help you out. Now today's video, we aren't going to be using our Cricut, but we will be using Inkscape, so even if you don't have a laser, be sure to stay tuned, and I will put a timestamp down below that'll take you to the Inkscape part of the video, because it's going to give you good tips on how to design in Inkscape, and you can use that with your Cricut. But what we're going to do is make two bookmarks, and we're going to be using the Glowforge software and Inkscape to create these. They're really fun, they're really easy, and you can really get really creative with them. I'm doing kind of a pumpkin theme since it's fall, but these make awesome gifts for teachers, great stocking stuffers, wonderful sellers at shows if you do craft shows and things like that. You can really add your own flair with things like paint, or you can use acrylic to create these, but we're going to be using some draft board for these from Glowforge. I'm going to show you how to design them from start to finish in both softwares, and then we're going to make these really cool bookmarks, so let's get started.
Whatever we would do, we do it just for fun.
The first way I'm going to show you to make a bookmark is right here in the Glowforge software. It's really easy, honestly, and bookmarks are pretty simple, but this is a great way to start getting used to measuring things and learning how to do score versus engrave and just kind of getting used to working with the Glowforge. So the first thing I'm going to do is go into my shapes. Now, this is a premium option, so if you don't have the premium software, you're not going to have shapes. But we're just going to use a square for this, and we'll change up its measurements here in just a minute. But you can see here that all I have is a square, and we can kind of mess with it a little bit. But what we want to do is actually create a rectangle instead. So if I want to change my scale to turn it into a rectangle, I need to go down into this lower left-hand corner and click right here. It's the reposition and resize selected artwork option. So it's basically like having like a ruler. So what I want to do is I'm going to go right here in between where it says width and height. And you'll see this lock button. It's like a little chain. Go ahead and click on that. And that's going to allow me to change the scale. So I find that about 2.2 is a decent width for a bookmark. And then I usually do about 5 inches high. I find that to be a great size when it comes to bookmarks. So that's going to be our like outline, the shape we're working with. Now I want to add a little hole to it. So I'm going to grab a little circle. And obviously that circle's way too big. So we're going to make this a pretty small circle. But what you can see is that I didn't relock my scale here. So what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and delete the circle that I messed with. And I'm going to add another circle in here. You want to make sure that when you add new shapes that you're not going to want to scale, that you click that button and turn the little chain link back together. So then I'm going to go ahead and rescale this down. Now you can again see your sizing down here. This circle needs to be pretty small because it's going to be one that I'm using to put like a tassel in or a ribbon. So you don't have to do anything too big. And I think that looks pretty okay. Now what you can do is you can select your items here. And if you go to the little like rectangle and square above the measuring tool, you can click on that and you can center them. So you can use like center, just align the centers. And that'll make sure that that circle is fully aligned. Now, if you guys have watched me before, you know for whatever reason, I'm super good at aligning things and centered, and I don't know why. So you notice that it really didn't move because everything was centered. Now I am going to add some images, and I'm going to use the Glowforge images just because I think it's a lot easier. It is pretty fun. They have all sorts of really fun images. So you can go here to this little plus sign, and there's all these images that you can choose from to create your own design. So there's like trending ones that they'll tell you, but you can also look up things like Harry Potter. If you spell it right, you can search for Harry Potter and it's going to bring up some licensed artwork that they have that they can use in their Glowforge software. So you can find just about anything that you're into, whether you want to make something floral, whether you want to make something fancy. There's a million different options here, and you can see the Harry Potter one just keeps going and going and going. There's so many different designs to choose from. So choose whatever you want to do. Let's go ahead and check out what they've got in pumpkins. I think that'll be kind of cute, kind of fall-ish. So what I think I'll do is I'm going to choose a couple like plain style pumpkins. Because I think what we'll do is we'll do some scoring and then we'll add our name to it. So I'm going to just choose a couple pumpkins that I like the shape of. Now what you're going to see is it's going to bring up our pumpkin. And then I'm going to size it down and I'm going to put it on our bookmark. Now you'll have to go back in to your graphic and search again for another pumpkin that you want to use. So just keep that in mind when selecting. You're going to have to go back in and select again and select again. So just take your time with it. Have fun with it. So I'm going to select a couple of different pumpkin designs to add to this, and then we'll add some text. Now what's fun about this is I could, of course, cover this whole thing in pumpkins, but I think we're going to add some text to it just so you can see the text tool as well. So what I'm going to do is up here at the top, you'll see that we can insert text. Now again, I'm doing this, I have the premium subscription. I would highly recommend it if you want to design in Glowforge software. But I'm going to show you how to make a bookmark in Inkscape as well. So I'm going to add some text to this, and let's just put "Hey Pumpkin" and see what we think about that. Now, one thing is with the Glowforge software, you're kind of limited on your fonts. They have some, but I just don't think they have a lot of like option. I wish they had more. So keep that in mind when you're kind of choosing your, like, whether you want to use premium or not. I do prefer to use the Glowforge. So I'm going to go with this Serena font. Now I do want to like have it go top to bottom instead. So I'm going to turn it and I'm going to try to get it straight. And then I'm going to get it on here where I want it to sit. That's way too small. I do want this to be a little bit larger. So I'm going to go ahead and just make this bigger. And then I think what I actually want to do, instead of using different pumpkins, I think I'm going to delete these. And I think I'm just going to use this pumpkin. So what we can do is right click on it, click copy, and then simply click paste anywhere else on the screen. And you can paste that same pumpkin. So I can just add a bunch of those pumpkins if I want to all over the bookmark. And it's going to just look a little bit nicer. I'm going to make this a little bigger. And again, you just play with it. Figure out what you want it to look like. It's really up to you. You can size things. You can make the pumpkins different sizes. You can make the words different. I mean, do whatever you want to do. It's truly up to you. There's no wrong way to make your own little bookmark. So I'm just going to add a bunch of pumpkins. Like, this may not like be the best. That was not what I wanted to do. I'm going to delete that one. This may not be like the prettiest bookmark you've ever seen in your life, but I'm just trying to show you a few different ways that you can kind of decorate with the Glowforge and make your own like fun designs. Let's see. I'm going to put... All right. I'm going to do one more, I think, right up here. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, one thing that I want to point out to you is over here on the panel that has like all of your different steps. All those pumpkins are on one step because they're all the same design. Then we also have the Hey Pumpkin as its own step. We also have the circle as its own step and the square here as its own step. Now, because my Glowforge is off, I really can't totally choose what we're going to do, but I do want to engrave the words. I want to score the pumpkins, and then I want these, the circle and the rectangle, to cut. Now, once I input the like laser and all of the materials, we're just going to use some medium draft board for this. It's going to give me the options a little bit better. It'll pick the material, all that. I just don't have my Glowforge on right now because it is a little bit loud. So if we want to move this, and I'm just going to show you this right now, if I want to move this anywhere, make sure you draw a big square around it and grab the whole thing, because if you don't, you're going to move individual pieces, and we don't want to do that. Now, I'm going to go ahead, get the Glowforge ready to go. We're going to film the engraving, the scoring, the cutting, all the things, but I am going to show you how to set that once the Glowforge is on. Now, I know a lot of people are intimidated by Inkscape, but I promise this is a super easy project. and you're going to be able to do this no problem. I promise. You'll be okay. So what we're going to do is, again, starting with a square. So in Inkscape, the square is over on the left-hand side, and it is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th one down. It says create rectangles and squares. Select that, and you're going to see you get a little cursor with a rectangle. Now, I'm just going to make a rectangle. We'll resize it here in just a second, but we'll just make a rectangle. Then go ahead and use your little select button, which is the very top arrow. Then here at the top, you'll see that you have some measurement options. You've got a width and a height, and then currently this is measured in millimeters. I'm going to change this to inches. So I want my bookmark to be 2.2 inches wide, and I just want it to be 5 inches high. So you can see that's the same shape that we have over in Glowforge. Now we're going to add the circle, which is just under the cube here. Grab that circle, and again, we're going to just make a little circle. I'm just going to make a small circle. I can resize it and change it up a little bit, like as soon as we're done just creating the circle. Now you'll see that my circle's not perfect, so I'm going to go ahead and just make it a perfect circle by just changing the measurements to be the same. Then I'm going to go ahead and put it down here, and then we'll resize it even smaller. So I don't remember what size we made the circle over on the Glowforge. So we'll just kind of do a little bit bigger than that maybe. I'm going to go ahead and lock its ratio real quick, and I'm just going to play with the sizing because I think it does need to be a little bit bigger than that. Let's go like 3.5. That's pretty good. Okay, that's a decent size. It might be a little too big, but it'll be fine for now. Now, with this one with align, it's going to be a little bit different. So what you'll do is you're going to select everything here, and you'll see that you don't have like an align option anywhere that you can see, right? Over on the options on the right-hand side, I have an align and distribute objects. You might need to go up into these different options here and find it, because sometimes you don't have the options on the side. It just depends on your Inkscape and the way it's set up. So align and distribute is right under object, and if you click that, make sure you have everything selected, and then you can just go ahead and click that button, and it's going to align everything nice and centered. So I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and close the align option. Now I am going to change the colors just so we can see a little bit better. I'm going to just make them kind of a lighter color just for the bookmark. The color won't matter right this second, but it will when we get ready to input our designs. Now we're going to put some pumpkins on this one as well, just so you can kind of get an idea. So what I'm going to do is go to File, and I'm going to import. And I'm just using some clip art that I found. I'm going to go under Quick Access, and I'm just going to grab that file that I found. Click OK. You don't have to change any settings here. But what you're going to notice is there's already a background on this. So what we need to do is turn this into a file that we can use with our Inkscape. Go up to Path, and you're going to go to Trace Bitmap. Over in this Trace Bitmap option, you're going to do a couple things. Number one, turn off stack scans and click Remove Background. Everything else should be good to go. Click OK, and then what you'll see is you've got now a pumpkin without a background. I'm going to delete this pumpkin. We don't need it, and you can close this. And now we can use this pumpkin to create our design. Now, if we want to change our pumpkin size, make sure you're holding Control on your keyboard. That way it keeps the scale of your design without changing it. And just like in the Glowforge software, you can copy and paste by clicking on your keyboard, or you can use Control-C, Control-V. So I'm just going to put a couple pumpkins out really quick, and then let's add some text. We'll do the same thing. We're just going to add the same Hey Pumpkin. To add text, I clicked the A over on the left-hand side and then clicked on my screen, and now I can add Hey Pumpkin. Now, I do like the text that's chosen already, which is Olivia, but you can, just like any other program, choose any text that you want. That's one thing I like about designing within Inkscape is I have all of my text ready to go. So you can really choose any font that you want to. I like Pink Vibes for this because I want something a little thicker. Now, there is a really important step that you have to do in the Inkscape software, or the Glowforge can't work with your text. So what I want you to do is you're going to need to change your text to what's called a path. And what that is it tells the Glowforge software where to follow with the laser head with your design. So what I want to do is I'm going to go to Path. The first selection here is Object to Path. You're going to click that. Then you go to Object, and you want to choose Ungroup. Then one more time, go to Path and choose Union. Now your text is an SVG, meaning it can work with any of your like SVG style software. I'm going to move this around a little bit and turn it so that I can put it the way I want it. Now, if you want to turn something, select it and click again, and you'll see that you get these arrows, and that is how you can turn your design. So once you're happy with that, you can size it and kind of get it where you set. Now, you see how mine keeps kind of trying to click on and hold on to the pumpkin? If yours is doing that, over in the upper right-hand corner is this Enable Snapping tool. Turn that off, and now you'll be able to freely move your Hey Pumpkin around wherever you want it. Now I am going to add a couple more pumpkins, so I'm going to use Control-C and Control-V. Then I'm going to hold Control just to make this pumpkin smaller so that I can do a similar design onto this bookmark as is the other one. And then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about color. So I'm going to go ahead and Control-C and Control-V, just a couple of these smaller pumpkins. And you'll notice with this one that when I use the Control-V, wherever my mouse is sitting is where it places a pumpkin. So it's really easy to do copy and paste in Inkscape. Now, when you go to the Glowforge software, it's going to read what colors your design is. And by having different colors, it's going to allow you to assign each of those different colors a space in your Glowforge for what you want the function to be. So I want to score my pumpkins, but I want my Hey Pumpkin to be engraved. So I need to change the color of Hey Pumpkin. Truly does not matter what color you make it, just so long as it's a different color than anything else on your screen. I'm also going to go ahead and just take the circle out of my rectangle. So I'm going to select my circle and my rectangle. I'm going to go up to Path, and I just want to use the option of Difference, and that just removes that dot from our bookmark. That way we don't have to worry about assigning it for anything or worrying about any of that type of stuff. Now, one more step that I find to be super helpful is I'm going to grab each of my pumpkins, and I'm just going to hold Shift on my keyboard and click on each pumpkin design. And then I'm going to go to Path, and I'm going to Union those. The reason I do that is it's going to make sure that everything is one single step, and it's going to tell the Glowforge a lot easier where to move, what to do, and how to do it best. Now from here, all I need to do is click File, and I'm going to click Save, and it's going to ask me where I want to save it. So I'm going to save it into my Glowforge software, and I'm saving it as an Inkscape SVG. I'm calling this Pumpkin Bookmark, and clicking Save. You can close the software if you want to, but what I'm going to do is go over to the Glowforge software and show you how to upload it. So over in our Glowforge software, if we want to add our design, we can just click on this plus button, and you can use the upload option right here next to add artwork. Then you just need to go and find that project wherever you saved it. So I saved it into my Glowforge software, and we saved it as Pumpkin Bookmark. Go ahead and select it. Now, it might take a second to upload, and it's going to process and do all the things. And what you're going to see now is that we have our Pumpkin Bookmark. And you see they're fairly similar. I wanted them to be relatively similar. That way you could kind of get an idea of what they were going to look like based on the different software that we are choosing. Now, you'll note over here that I have to change my settings and everything for the different things that I want it to do, which we'll do as soon as we turn our laser on, and we'll get them both moved on to our material so that you can see where they're going to go, how they're going to look. And this is really a pretty good scrap buster project, so I'm going to see if I have any pieces that might have some scrap left behind. I have my laser on. You might be able to hear it in the background making a little bit of noise. So you'll see here, this is the material that we're working with. Like I said, I found a scrap. I love to make these types of projects with scraps, and I apologize, my dog's walking around in the background. So what I want to do first is I'm going to turn this bookmark so that it fits in the area up here where I have some space. I'm going to do the same for this one, but because this one was designed in Glowforge, I need to make sure that I grab the entire design, and then I want to turn it, and then I want to make sure to grab the entire design again and move it up into that same area. I am going to put them pretty close together, but I am going to move them over a little bit more, I think, because I can definitely get them a little closer to this cutout. And like the little scraps I've left behind, I like to use to make like earrings and stuff, so there's a lot you can do with the little scraps. Now that we have our material in here, and I see that this one's still a little uneven, so I'm going to go ahead and try to even it back out a little. Let's get that a little straighter. Sometimes it's a little hard to get it completely straight, but that's fine. That's good enough. Now what I want to do is over on the side, you'll see that you have all of your different parts and pieces to your designs. So you'll see here that this one is set to engrave, but I want it to score. That's going to be our pumpkins. I want it to cut out the rectangle. And then this part, I would like it to engrave. So I'm going to change that to engrave. So now you'll see we have red lines, blue lines, and purple lines. The other one should be set fine, but I'll double check. Engrave, score, cut, and cut. Now, we can actually change the order in which the Glowforge does these items because we want it to kind of do everything so it makes sense. So I'm going to pull the scores up to the top. Then I'm going to do the engraving next. And then I'm going to cut the small circle and this rectangle, and then I'll cut the final rectangle. That way it just does it in a way that makes way more sense. Now what I want to do is click print, and it's going to process and prepare my print. So it's going to autofocus. It's going to do all the things it needs to do over on the machine. So you're going to hear the laser move around a little bit. Give it a couple seconds, and it's going to go ahead and go through and take a look at what it needs to do and how long it's going to take. So now you'll see here that it says it's going to take 11 minutes and 2 seconds, which is fine. But this is awful close, and so I want to move these over just a little bit. So I'm going to select both by drawing a square around them, and I'm just going to scoot this over just a smidge so it's a little further away from that cutout. That way it just gives us a little more space to work with. Now we're going to head over to the laser. I'm going to let you guys watch it do its thing, and we're going to have 2 really fun bookmarks. Now once the Glowforge is done cutting and scoring and engraving, I do give it a minute or two just to make sure all the like smoke and stuff has gone out the vent, and you'll hear it click. It's just cooling down. Once it's pretty much done clicking, we can go ahead and open it and get out our design. So I'm gonna open the lid, and then there's a little door in the front that you pull down, and then you can pull out your design. Now I have been having some issues with them sticking because I think I need to clean my machine. But I'm going to go ahead and pull this out. And actually, this one's just held on by like the masking, which we'll take off here in a few. This one, however, is a little tighter, but again, it's still really just not cutting through the masking. I do need to clean my machine, but I've been waiting to do that so that I can show you guys how to clean your Glowforge as well, because I think that would be a really helpful tutorial if you have a Glowforge. So I'm going to go ahead and close up my machine. I always want to make sure that I turn it off when I'm done using it. And then we're going to remove the masking so that you can really see what these look like. Now what we need to do is remove the masking, which is basically a like paper sheet that is over your wood or your blank, and it helps protect it from any of the scorch marks. Like you can see some of the scorch marks along the bottom here. So I'm going to grab the back one first, and I'm just using a rubber, or like I guess it's plastic blade, but there are a lot of ways you can remove masking. I've seen people do it with like duct tape, the squeegee. Sometimes people just pick at it with their finger. I like using the little plastic scraper. I think that works really well for me, but you do what works for you. But you can start to see how this is going to look. I think this is going to be really cool when it's all done. But we're going to go ahead and get all this peeled off. So I'll do this part pretty quickly because really that's, you know, it's all there is to it. You just peel that off. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of the parts peeled off, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's all finished. Now all you need to do is you can add ribbon or a tassel, whatever you really want. You could also paint these. Paint pens work really great for this, but I kind of like the more plain look. But now you've got these super easy to make, really simple, fun bookmarks. There's a lot you can do with these to dress them up, so be sure to have fun with them, but you can really see how how easy it was to make each of these. So you do have options with the Inkscape version where you have just a few more like font options, lots of different image options as well. Or you can fully use Glowforge and just use what they have available to you. But you can see both were pretty easy to make and do. Didn't take me very long at all. And they're really fun, really easy. These are like the perfect little addition to a gift or a fun like thing you can do with your family. You can all design your own little bookmarks. So fun, so easy. If you guys have any questions about this or anything else with the Glowforge, or you have a tutorial you're looking for, let me know in those comments down below. I'm always happy to answer those for you. Be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. That way you don't miss out on any of the fun, crafty content we have coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting!